Which is the teacher part, which is the student part, does it measure?
One gets by, and so you want to be in third position for this particular spot.
Yeah,
But
but I'm not
otherwise,
used
you
to.
don't need to be in third position except for the high notes.
Oh, yes.
Okay? So if you're comfortable with switching.
Good morning.
I'm in the way.
I think it's kind of like mosquitoes.
Actually, I just got a.
They're just
She was pretty
buzzing
fast.
around.
He enjoyed it, and I bought the book that she was using her happy piano.
I don't do much running. You know, I've been driving manual transmissions all my life. Now my knees is letting up.
So no more left clutch, huh?
Well, kind of keep my legs straight, and it kind of keeps me nice.
Yeah, I had never driven anything except a stick for up until about 10 years ago.
Those knees do wear out after a while. And a lot of people get replacements. Yeah, well, all the computer business.
Business is fine, I think.
You know, I listened to a guy, and he said he went from Windows to different things. He was glad he abandoned Windows.
This is.
Oh.
Carol was so excited about it.
And on his
I said.
webpage, he has a lot of
Yeah.
MP3 and MP4.
Ah. So music and movies.
Yeah, and I tell you what, there's not many webpages where you can get download MP4. So maybe there's something to that. He's been kind of a computer geek all his life.
Aha.
Yeah, so then we would both.
I think I wrote down exactly what he said. He said he dropped
This is your, I have mine.
Okay.
We don't need to do that here.
Windows and hook up another
I need to make a couple copies.
operating system. I guess I call
The
it.
Apple operating?
What?
Apple?
No. I think I wrote down what it was. It started with an L. I know that.
Linux.
Linux.
You think so?
He loves Linux.
Yes.
So, I can give you a tip. Just have spectators.
Yeah.
Grateful they got rid of Windows and took up Linux.
Thank you.
I have enough for a Sunday and a half.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. Kind of changes
The flow of things in here.
Well, he's only half my size.
Well, and she's probably what, 12th of your age?
This is hers now.
Which I think is probably more telling.
Ah, I gotcha.
She might be 8 years old. 7 or 8.
I have to.
I gotta get my name taken.
So how often do you leave? Okay. It's so much fun.
I'm involved with involved.
Yes, yeah. It's crazy how quickly it
Changes
changes.
stuff.
I forgot to take it, but I can take a copy of it, so I can send you.
I had trouble with my van, I was gonna take the radio out.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Sorry though.
Let's take the whole year out, take the.
Yeah, I got Yes, so,
Finally,
it's fun.
I found an operator on the street down, and I tightened it, and it's still tight, and still leak. Finally, I repositioned the whole thing, took it out, put it back on, and I finally got it sealed up. Stuff like that. I got a red 16 Ford pickup that quit on me last fall. So that's still sitting out on the marketplace. The mechanic got it, took the carburetor apart and I found out the float was sticking along the side and held up. So he said he got one well switch but it's still sitting out. I don't drive with the salt, so it's just keep it there. Get it in the spring, so. Yeah. So what are your plans after church?
Yes, that was.
Yeah, right here, right, or what? You go out somewhere or what? Yeah. Sherry drove, so you'll have to okay that, but I'm not sure it will.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, there's a couple other things, but I don't want to tell you because I don't want him to know. I don't feel good about it.
Okay, so this is a snap. As you feed it through here, and you snap it like Good day, and welcome to All Souls. We're truly grateful that you're here today. My name is John Cunningham, and I am the service coordinator for today, for this morning service. The principle that today's service is based on is the sixth principle, the goal of world community, peace, liberty, and justice for all. All Souls is a welcoming community We do not oppose the theology or doctrine. Each of us is responsible to undertake their own free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We serve as a source of inspiration that you can take in our daily lives. Today, our inspiration will come from our songs, reading, and inspirational presentations from our speaker. Whether you're joining us for the first time or are a regular attendee, you're welcome here. Whatever faith you hold or have known, whatever your heritage, whatever questions you have, for which we won't provide answers, whatever the truth you seek, whatever joys or sorrows you have that fill your heart, whoever you are and whoever you love, you're welcome here. For those of you who have continued to give your treasure and time to All Souls, because of your generosity, we've donated over $7,000 to Promising Futures in our holiday appeal. And I think you talk for yourself. I think we also contributed several other organizations, including Reach Literacy and Feeding South Dakota. The Alzheimer's Association is planning a trip on February 13th to speak to the legislature and peer. They invite any and all Souls members who have been touched by this disease to go with them on this trip. They don't have the specific information about when and where they're leaving from. A musical fundraiser will be held at 3 o'clock on February 12th. It's Super Bowl Sunday. And it will be held at Hope Lutheran Church just up the street, which our speaker is a member of today. And that'll be a fundraiser for Camp Unistar for children of the All Souls, the Unitarian Universalist community.
And adults, children and adults.
Oh, and adults?
Yes.
Oh. My children don't believe that I qualify.
You qualify.
Okay. Oh yes, that's the other announcement. Are there any other announcements from the floor? Minister Sorensen.
This Saturday being the second Saturday is our cleanup spruce-up time at 8:30 until 10 o'clock. You can come and help with that. And another announcement regarding our neighboring church up the street, Hope Lutheran has soup and pie this Wednesday from 11 to 1. And it looks like fun. I imagine it's a fundraiser, and they have a drive-through option too. So soup and pie at Hope this Wednesday.
I'm going to tell you a little more story. I was a Texas usher my whole life, and I had to go to a lot of, make presentations at town hall meetings, and many of them are held in churches. I have yet to be disappointed in the food in the church. Okay.
Another announcement.
Oh, another announcement.
My name's Eric. Last Sunday, during the congregational meeting, we held a vote on some proposed, how we feel about some proposed changes at the national UUA level. And I put it out on Facebook on a UU forum saying that, our church had voted against it, and the big concerns were principles 4 and 5. They were missing. And I got a response back that last weekend they added them back in. So the proposed change to the national guidelines is changing, it's evolving, nothing is a done deal. Thank you.
And thank you, Eric and Paul, for all the work you did on that, providing the analysis of the proposed changes. Sandy?
Good morning. My name is Sandrine, and I just wanted to let you know that there is a women's circle happening tonight here at All Souls from 7 to 9 p.m. Any woman is welcome to attend.
That means no men allowed? Are there any other announcements? Okay. Thank you, Carol. We always get such wonderful music from Carol. And I should point out, though, that the reason that our music festival this afternoon is in Old Lutheran is because our esteemed Minister Sorensen is placed that organ. And they have graciously allowed us to use their facilities so that we can play the organ this afternoon.
Well,
No,
next
next
Sunday.
Oh, next week.
Next week.
Not this afternoon, next week, yes. Well, they put the Super Bowl on the screen behind it.
Game kickoff is 5:30.
It's moments well ahead of the Super Bowl. Okay. But the chalice lighting, Mr. Allen, would you take the chalice? And for that, we have the Costi Unitarian prayer in number 516 in your book.
Who's there?
Okay. Oh God, root and source of body and soul, we ask for boldness in confronting evil. When you are within us, we have the power to counter all that is untrue. O Father and Mother of all mankind, may we redeem our failings by the good work that we do in the name of the one, the true, the only God. That is the Costi Unitarian prayer. And now, opening song is number 146, Soon the Day Will Arrive.
Together
first reading is number 571. It is from Isaiah 61. I will read it out of the regular print, and then you can respond with the italicized print. The Spirit of God has sent me to bring good news to the oppressed,
To bind up the brokenhearted,
to proclaim liberty to the captives and release to the prisoners,
to comfort all who mourn,
to give them a garland instead of ashes,
the oil of gladness instead of mourning.
the mantle of praise instead of a faint spirit,
They shall build up the ancient ruins, they shall raise up the former devastations, the devastations of many generations.
You shall be named ministers of God. Okay, now it's time for the story for all ages. We're glad to have children as well as adults here, and we're going to talk to some children. If any of the children would like to come up and join me while we talk, I'll tell a little story. Hi there. What's your name? Hello. Is there this? Coming up? Okay. She's coming up.
Great.
Hi there. Well, let me tell you a story about ducks. Have you ever seen ducks? Well, on a farm a long time ago, a mama duck sat in her nest. How long must I wait for the babies to hatch, she said. At last, eggs began to hatch, and the little ducklings came out. One by one, little yellow ducklings stepped out, and they took their wings and said, quack, quack. Look, all of you, said Mama Duck, joined with them. They're all so cute, blue, yellow, and blue. You see little ducklings in there? Pretty, aren't they? Yes. Oh, okay. First of all, there's a picture of the little ducklings. See that? And then what happened was one of the ducklings, one of the eggs didn't hatch right away. It took another day or so, and finally that egg hatched, and the duckling wasn't pretty at all. You know this story, don't you? Ugly gray, and he didn't look very good. And the other ducklings, they made fun of him. They didn't like it. They didn't let him play with them. And finally, the little duckling grew some wings and flew over the farmyard fence and flew until he landed on the other side of the lake. Now, then a farmer found him. It got to be winter, and the lake was freezing over, and he was struggling, and a farmer found him, and just as he just couldn't move anymore, and brought him into the house, and he spent the winter all comfortable by the fireplace. And in the spring, the farmer said, it's time for you to go out in the world again, because you're supposed to. And so he took the little duckling that was now a full-size duck out to the river, or to the lake, and let him go. And they saw some birds flying over, and they're so beautiful, big, white, long, graceful necks, and very beautiful birds. And then they stopped on the pond by him. And he said, don't worry, I won't bother you. Because he thought he was like, but he looked at him, then he looked in the pond, and he looked at his reflection, and he looked just like them. Well, beautiful. Because he's what? Because he's a swan. He turned out to be an ugly duckling, he turned out to be a great swan. Well, that's great for animals, because sometimes animals can change how they look, but people can't. Some people don't look so pretty on the outside. But sometimes those people that don't look very pretty on the outside are kind and gentle and nice people inside. They're beautiful inside. But, well, yeah. I didn't chase so good when I got old, did I? But sometimes you have to look a lot harder to find the beauty in people than you do in animals. So you have a good day to look for the beauty in people. Would you? Have a good day, and let's sing to the children out.
Go down east, go down east, may the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
And now we went to one of the great things we have here is our color of joys and concerns. And one of the great traditions in most souls where we get to share with each other the things that we've enjoyed in the past, and especially last week, and the things that we're concerned about. To do this, each pick up a stone, hold it in our hand, and share with the congregation whatever joy or concern you'd like to share with us, and then place it in the wall. And I will express my concern about having been elected president, and I know if I can, I've been a struggle so far, but we'll try to make it work. And now for all of you that have joys and concerns, the ripples are supposed to ripple out and infuse the congregation. Joys and concerns. Charles.
Yeah.
State your name.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Charles Taylor, and you might not have seen me around here for a while. And I fell down my basement stairs, 8 feet, and it took a gouge out of my left leg. I've been going to the wound clinic at Avera. They've done very good for me. I see them 3 times a week, and now I'm seeing them once a week. Physical therapy, occupational therapy, all kinds of good things. And now I'm better. I am somewhat better, and I will be walking and try to get some exercise. Coming here every other week. That's the arrangement I have with my wife, and I am glad to be back. You people all have smiling faces, and I really have great joy to be back. So thank you so much.
Welcome back, Charles.
Welcome back, Chuck.
Thank you, Charles.
Yeah.
Any other joys or concerns? Mr. Allen.
We have the joy of birthdays this month, so there's birthday cake downstairs, thanks to my wife Janine. And if you would tell us it's your birthday, you don't have to say what year, but we're celebrating. I know that one is Carol, so happy birthday to the February birthdays. And this next one is for my daughter Krista and her fiance Ko, who is from Japan, and they've had a long distance, kind of stressful engagement because he was waiting for a long time for a visa, which he has finally been granted. And so now they have 90 days in which to tie the knot.
Oh, no pressure.
Jennifer.
Yes, I have. I'm Jennifer. I have 2 concerns. My wife fell down and put her back really this week. She suffered from that. And our friend got out of the hospital. Well, I don't know what he's at right now.
You just want to let them walk around, that's fine too. We don't care about that subject. Seeing kids running out is fun.
Hi, I'm Steve. I just had to share a funny memory. As we were reading the Isaiah, my son's name was Isaiah, and when he was about 3 or 4, we were visiting church and they read Isaiah 61. And the pastor said, and Isaiah said, and he read the verse, and my son stood up in the pew and at the top of his lungs yelled, I didn't say that! Yeah. And so I always, a chuckle every time, and I think about that, so. Yes, and I have a slight concern that my son's now 21 and he's struggling with his job a little bit, so.
You're very good.
Yeah, I'm Paul. Yeah, yesterday, my wife and I went to the Round Lake Winery, which we go to when they have their quarterly parties. And as we were driving back, we saw 5 or 6 little flocks of pheasants by the side of the road, which was quite a joy to see. There's still life in the winter.
My name is Sandrine, and beginning of January, my family decided to open our doors on Wednesday night to have witty potluck, and many of you here got to attend, and it just made our heart full and happy to see the house full and seeing all those connections around food and discussions, and so it's something that brings us joy, but also we can see the ripple effect of that. So we are hoping to do that every Wednesday of this year, and all of you are welcome. Every Wednesday night from 6 to 8 p.m.
And that leads me to do this. My name is Nelson. I'm one of the folks who was at the Pila's household last Wednesday evening for food and fellowship, and I just want to say what a revival of a tradition, just a simple way to socialize and forget about your troubles, and it was so refreshing and fulfilling and fun, and I thank the Pila's family from the bottom of my heart for opening up their house and starting this tradition.
Well, thank you, Vincent. And I think we should all give Pilas a hand. Okay. Well, I'll put one final stone in for all the... Oh, we still got another here. Scott. I jumped the gun.
Hi, I'm Scott. Guess what? Someone asked me for a dozen eggs last week, and I can't remember who it was. Ah, okay. I have them. The other thing is, I just got a promotion at work. Now I have a month worth of studying to do. At my age, I'm always worried about how much I can study, but we're going to do our best.
You know, a dozen eggs is a lot more valuable than 50 years ago. I went to the store the other day and I didn't buy them. Okay, so this is last stone is for all the joys, concerns that are in our hearts that we chose not to express, but we'd like to share with the world as the waves go out into the bowl. Shows that those joys and concerns go out into the congregation and infuse all of us. Okay, song number 2, number 129, Let Love Continue Long.
If let love be strong
reading is number 599, to lose the fetters of injustice, again from Isaiah 68. You'll have suspected by now that of the Old Testament readings, Isaiah and Ecclesiastes, but over here, by far right. 588. Again, I will read the regular print, and you read the bold print. Is this not the fast that I choose?
To loose the bonds of injustice, to undo the thongs of the yoke, to let the oppressed go free, and to break every yoke.
It is not to share your bread with the hungry, and bring homeless poor into your houses, when you see them naked and cover them, and not to hide yourself from your own kin?
Then shall your light break forth like the dawn, and your healing shall spring up quickly.
If you remove the yoke from among you, the pointing of the finger, the speaking of evil, if you offer your food to the hungry and satisfy the needs of the afflicted,
you shall be like a watered garden, like a spring whose waters never fail.
And now that it's time for our inspirational talk of the day, this is from Jim Sorensen, who I've known for several years. I belong to a group that discusses the Gospels at Hope Lutheran Church, and Jim Sorensen is a member of that group. He's also the father of the pastor there, Pastor Monet, and so he has quite an experience. He's been a missionary in Ethiopia, a nurse missionary. He and his wife are both nurses, and they were sent as missionaries to Ethiopia, where he had some tremendous experiences and has written a book about them. The book was so inspiring to me that I thought that his stories could be inspiring to you. And so I asked him to be here to speak today about his experiences in Ethiopia that gave him that inspiration. Would you welcome Jim Sorensen?
I brought a copy of the book that I wrote, and I don't know if you have a library, but if you don't, I'm going to leave it with probably the pastor, and you can pass it around, but I'll leave it here in your place.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know, it took me quite a while to discover what mission really was, and even though when I was a child, I had always wanted to be a missionary. And there's a story behind that, but I'm going to pass that and go to some other things that happened as I progressed and then went to Ethiopia. In those days, it was true that missionaries were sent out by many countries and places, and what they seemed to take instead of Jesus was their culture. And so we have many people in other countries that are trying to sing hymns to Norwegian tunes and trying to put their language to Swedish tunes and whatever else had happened in that time. And other things that we unknowingly took with us and had the people start using and sharing instead of their own rich cultural stuff. And it took me a while to learn about that. But as we went, I had married Carolyn, my wife, in 1960 when we were in nursing school. She was my big sister. You know, they had a big sister for new freshmen that came in, so she was my big sister, and I married her. And then, you know, I was ready to say, well, I'll just apply to go to mission school, and I did, and didn't have any idea where to go. And you know, at that time it was like, well, whatever God wants of me, wherever they send me, that's what will happen. And we learned that we were going to go to Papua New Guinea, and kind of got ready to think about that. while I was still in nursing school. And as it happened, the person who does the mission work for the American Lutheran Church then came out to Omaha, where we were in school, and interviewed us. And the interview was like they had already accepted us. But he said, we have a greater need in Ethiopia. Would it be okay for you to go there instead? And we said, oh yes, whatever God wants. And then we went home and had to look at the map to find out where Ethiopia was. But that was a good thing. We were 2 months late for language school. We were supposed to spend almost a year in language school, and we were set right with the other classmates and had to catch up, which was okay for me, but Carolyn was pregnant. And her pregnancy took over, so she didn't get to complete the language school, but she learned kitchen Amharic. That was the language of Ethiopia at the time. And that was because Ethiopia was ruled by an emperor, Haile Selassie, and he was from the Amharic tribe. Ethiopia is really a very huge country, and there's like 88 languages in that country by itself. And those are tribal, and that is an issue. It was an issue here as we settled too, from Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Germany. I remember that I went to the Danish Lutheran Church, and even Dana College, which was in Blair, Nebraska, which was with the Danish Lutheran. And what I'm saying is that we could look across the country and see the steeple of a Norwegian church, and how tribal we were in our own being. But then we got to the language school, and in 2 months, we arrived October 14th, and on December 14th, there was a coup d'etat. The guard for the emperor, when he was out of the country in South America, had rebelled and started shooting. And we were in a quadplex with 3 other missionary families. A bomb hit our house, and you wonder why we didn't go home at that point, but you know, God had sent us and we were going to stay the course. Well, it was a short coup, and we were happy to move on to finish our language school and get assigned. By the way, if you want to read a very good book, it is by, I forget his last name, but the name of it is Cutting for Stone, and it takes place in Ethiopia with an Indian person who has gone there, and I have met the author of that book, and it is written so well that I can, when he tells about the market, I can smell it. And it's just a wonderful book he's a surgeon, and that's why it's called Cutting for Stone. But if you want to look at that, that would be a good one for you to think about. Language school was pretty easy for me, but after it happened, we then were placed in a town called Waldia. It was several miles north of the capital city, Addis Ababa. And we went there, Carolyn, I, and our daughter Lene, who was born by then, and so started our work there. There had been one missionary nurse there, and she had been there many, many months, all alone, starting a clinic. and a tiny little hospital that had wooden floors, a thatched roof, and there are two beds, and very sparse kind of thing. I just couldn't believe what was going to happen with us trying to do good health care. But we got started in about 2 weeks. She went on vacation, and I was left alone with Carolyn and Lene, and these new people that we really didn't know much about. And the messenger came one day when I went to work and said, the governor wants to talk to you. Come with me. So that I had to do that. We were in their country. And so I went to talk to him, and he said, there is one of my lesser governors out in the highlands who is sick, and you're going there to cure him. Well, he said, here are 2 men, and they have this horse, and they'll take you there. So I went up and packed an overnight thing and told Carolyn, kissed her goodbye, and said, I hope I see you again. And took off on this horse. It had a wooden saddle. By the time 3 hours had passed, and they didn't let me rest or get off, I tell you, I hope this doesn't bother anybody, but my prostate was probably the size of a football by the time I got there. And I was in so much pain. And if you haven't ridden a horse and you do it that long, you're hanging on so tight with your legs that I couldn't get off.
Oh, no.
And they had to pull me, and it was kind of like boing, my legs went together after we got off. I had a hard time walking. Oh, we finally go, and I could tell the man was rich because he had a 2-story house. The animals, of course, were in the lower level because of hyenas at night, and the people were up above. And I went in, and there were many other people there. When someone in Ethiopia gets sick, people come out from everywhere. And he was there, and he had syphilis.
Oops.
Okay, and there was a pregnant wife with him. Well, my Amharic, after going to language school, I was so proud of learning it the way I thought I did. I had no way to explain to him that the germ he had was also with her and the baby. And I said, she has to be treated too. And sadly to say, he kicked her and said no. And that was the mentality of the male at that point in that place, was it's her fault. Now, we know that probably was not true, but that was the way of the people at that time. And I felt so bad. So anyway, after I had treated him, and I had to give him more penicillin in the morning because you had to give 2 doses. And so I went, and they had a bed, but no mattress, just the spring, the wire spring. So I put my sleeping bag on it, and then I looked out at all these people, and there were about 12 of them in this small room, sitting on the floor and looking at me. And I thought, now that Norwegian teacher who taught me Amharic has got to have something that I can use. And I remember memorizing so many of the verses in the Bible, in the New Testament especially. So I started to tell them. And I tried to read them in Amharic, and because I brought my New Testament along. And I was reading, and I looked at the people, and they just sat there with their mouths open, and I realized my lingo is not getting to them. They're not catching it. But there was a blind Orthodox, Ethiopian Orthodox priest in that crew, and he retold the story in Amharic that they could understand. So we had a really good thing going, and we had a lot of nice messages with them. I got home, had to ride that horse again all the way back, and somehow going downhill was not as much as going up. I'm telling you, when we went up, there were mountain passes where the path was only about 3 feet or 4 feet wide for me and the horse. And I was so afraid of falling down, which was about 2,000 feet, that he ran me into a rock, and I still have a problem with that knee. But going back was not quite so bad. Well, it wasn't long then that we were moved to Seletleka, a place where I started the clinic and hospital there, and we had many things going. We required them to come and visit, and I would get out in the morning and in the waiting room, and we would have devotions with the people. I had to use a translator to make sure, because now we were in another province, another tribe, another language. And so I had to use a translator, but we had that. Then I would see each patient, I would charge each patient, collect the money, treat them, and send them on their way. So, because I had no helpers. But as we got going, we were able to hire people, and it really got much better. While we were there, we were introduced to a young boy. A mother brought Wolde Garima. Wolde was a little boy about 3 years old, and the only way he could walk, and I have to demonstrate it, was like this. And so he reminded me of a little chicken, because his mother was always right by him, and he would always go like right close under her skirt, like under the wings. And it reminds me of Jesus telling the story of like a hen, that it's like God is like a hen that protects us and covers us. And anyway, it was terrible. He was very, very ill. He had been to witch doctors, and they had burned him all over his chest, on top of his head, on his back. He had many, many scars from the treatment they tried to give. Well, he had no place to go, so we took him in and ended up adopting him. And he now lives in San Antonio, Texas, where we were before we came here. He has a family with 4 children, and they're our grandchildren. And we're very, very proud of them and wish they'd moved to Sioux Falls. So as I think about ending this, I wanted to say again about the mission. When we go, we have to take something that is meaningful to the people and helpful to them. So in 1995, I learned about, it was after a revolution there again, I learned about going back to Ethiopia to help, and I went many, many summers. And finally joined a team that digs wells, Water to Thrive. And I'll leave you a piece of information that I brought about Water to Thrive. If anyone is interested, we dig wells in Ethiopia, Uganda, and Tanzania. And they are doing much more for the people than any education or church could bring. We feel that we're making difference. Girls are able to stay in school. they do not get diarrhea. You know, about every 22 seconds, a child in this world dies of dysentery or a waterborne disease. Every 22 seconds. And we think that we're making a great difference by providing clean, fresh water. And we can talk more about that, I think, at another time. With that, I guess we'll carry on about mission work at our other time. Thank you.
The little boy, was he able to walk?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I gave him physical therapy and got him to stand up tall.
Okay. Now, today, our offering. An offering music will be Make Someone Happy. And collect our offering. Half of the proceeds today will go to the Banquet West. We have the tradition doing half of our cash from our offerings each Sunday goes to a designated charity. And so half of what everybody donates today will go to this month's charity is the Banquet West. Thank you. Recite together the words to receive the offering. We give
these gifts freely. We receive these gifts gratefully. We dedicate these gifts to the work of our congregation, serving human wholeness, caring for our planet, upholding religious freedom, welcoming the stranger, and loving one another.
Reading number 3 is number 609 by Saudi Shirazi, a Persian poet. Again, I'll read the regular print and you read the italics. To worship God is nothing other than to serve the people.
It does not need rosaries, rare carpets, or robes.
All people are members of the same body, created from one essence.
If faith brings suffering to one member,
the others cannot stay abreast. And now to extinguish the chalice, Mr. Sock, can you come extinguish the chalice? chalice is extinguished,
but the light goes with us out into the world.
Will be in the basement, and we'll resume about 11:15 or 20 here, and have a circle discussion with Jim Sorensen.
Hi, it's good to see you. It's good to see you.